Okay, let's look at the tom-toms now. Let's go back. Remember how I taught you about the technique for positioning your hands on the snare drum? Remember this nice V shape? Okay, now we've got to use exactly that with the tom-tom drums as well. So if I'm going to play this one, the smallest tom-tom, the hand should just lift out. I'm still playing downhill towards the drum. Nice V. Moving on, turn from the waist, still keeping that nice V shape so that we can use the wrists properly. And then down to this one here, the floor tom or hanging tom. Again, notice how I'm turning from the waist and maintaining this nice V shape so that we can fan the sticks out. This ensures that I'm using the best part of my wrist as the pivot, as the hinge. Okay, that's what this is all about. So as we go from the snare drum out to the tom-toms, maintain that shape every time. Okay, let's go round in fours, round the whole kit. And it doesn't matter which direction you go, which combination of drums, you've got to maintain that nice shape. So what have you got to look out for to make sure you're not going wrong? Okay, common faults by pupils is this. If you go from the snare drum to the small tom-tom, notice how the thumbs come up. Okay, thumbs come up, sticks come in. Now that means that we're now hinging from here. We don't want to be here. We want to be there. Now, when the pupil goes from there to the next one, they tend to move this wrist over like that. So they end up with this angle on the next tom-tom, and maybe even make it worse as they come down to this one. You can play the drums like that. Don't misunderstand me. You can. But what a poor way to pivot the wrist. Okay? It's not the most powerful or the most controlled way of moving the wrist. Turn it back out and maintain the V. So that's moving around the tom-toms. Okay, now we've worked our way around the tom-toms. So now how are we going to use those in our drumming? Well, we're going to use them as fill-ins with our rhythms. So what that means is we're going to take some of the rhythm away that we were doing earlier, and in its place put a fill, put some tom-tom work in. Now, several things can go wrong with fills. One, you can make your fill too long for the space you're trying to fill up of the rhythm, so then when you come back to the rhythm you're in the wrong place. Or you can play the fill too fast, which is another common mistake. And then if you do it too fast, when you go back to the rhythm, you've got there too early again. So you're out of time whichever way. What we've got to try and do now then is replace two of the crotchets worth of rhythm, and place in 2 crotchets worth of fill on the tom-toms. Now we're going to play them as semi-quavers. That's 4 beats to every crotchet. 1, 2. 1, 2. And we put this at the end of the bar's rhythm. Okay, so it's the last 2 beats in the rhythm. You'll see what I mean now. Here we go. I'll start off with just rhythm, and then I'm going to put some fills in the last 2 crotchets of the bar. Right, now you have to notice there that the separation of the beats when I'm playing the tom-toms is very even. These semi-quaver beats must be evenly spaced. And I've got to return to the rhythm exactly the right time. Okay, if you tap the beat out, the main count with your foot, you should find that as I finish the fill, the 2 crotchets worth of filling, I should return to the start of the rhythm at exactly the right time. You've got to be very, very precise about this. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now of course fills don't have to be 2 crotchets long. They can be any length. It is always important though that it's right at the end of a passage, just before a new change in the song. You don't normally put a little fill in just in the middle of something when perhaps the verse is continuing. Okay, it has to be at the end of that verse or the very end of the chorus or whatever like that. It's always up against the end. But of course, as I say, it doesn't have to be 2 crotchets long. Let's do some fills now using semi-quavers around the kit where it takes the whole bar, all 4 crotchets. Okay, so I'm going to play 3 bars of rhythm and the 4th bar will be a complete fill. Now let's take this fill idea a little bit further, because they don't all have to be semi-quavers. We could use quavers in the fill as well. Remember, the quavers are the same speed as the hi-hat beats. Okay, let me do you some little fills now that change between semi-quavers and quavers. So same idea, let's do some more fills now. Sometimes it'll be a 2 crotchet fill, sometimes it will be a 4 crotchet fill, but each time I'm going to do a mixture of quavers and semi-quavers when I play the tom-toms. Okay, so that's basic fill-ins using semi-quavers and quaver beats.